There are a lot of things that bother me about having ADHD, but here are 6 things that I absolutely hate. The first thing is having trouble sleeping. So I had trouble sleeping even before I knew I had ADHD. Sometimes I would stay up all night because my mind just would not stop having thoughts. I would try absolutely everything to fall asleep, including taking another shower, opening a window, reading a book, watching a boring TV show, staring at the ceiling in complete darkness, and much more, but nothing would work. This began to affect my performance at work, my mood was terrible, and this also made my general lack of motivation way worse. I can't tell you how many times I would lay down for bed at 9 p.m. because I had to wake up for work at 6 a.m. and I would toss and turn all night, probably until 2 or 3 a.m. or I wouldn't even fall asleep at all. The second thing that I hate is having working memory issues. Working memory is what we use to hold new information in place so that we can work with it without forgetting or losing track of what we're doing. Think of when you're having a conversation with somebody new and they tell you their name. Well, in order to remember their name while continuing with the conversation, we rely on working memory. Well, working memory is impaired in people with ADHD. These impairments affect my life every day. Think of how many times you receive new information and you have to store it very quickly so that you could remember it for later. Somebody giving you verbal directions, somebody introducing themselves to you and giving you their name for the first time, someone asking you to do them a favor later in the day at a specific time. I always forget things like this. This affects the relationships that I have with others. It makes me seem irresponsible or like I don't care, but that's actually not true at all. This also makes it very easy to manipulate people with ADHD. Imagine a scenario where someone lies to you and says something like, "Don't you remember? I told you this last week." Well, since we know we have issues with working memory, we know that it's very possible that that person did tell us something last week and we actually forgot. Next up is not being able to regulate attention. People with ADHD are very motivated by things that are either new and novel, very urgent, or very interesting to us. If something doesn't fit in those categories, it can be very difficult for us to focus on it. The issue is that most things in life don't fit into those categories. These things can be schoolwork, our jobs, chores, or other things. I can't tell you how many times I've been forced to listen to some boring training at work or a lecture in college and having absolutely no idea what it was about by the time it's over. And the worst part is that we actually do have the ability to pay attention to things for hours at a time. This can be things like video games, a new hobby, or an activity that we enjoy. Growing up, we might have heard things like, well, clearly you don't have an issue with attention if you could pay attention to your video games for 4 hours straight, but paying attention isn't the issue. Regulating our attention is. Next is losing interest in things that we love. There's been so many times where I've had a new hobby that I enjoyed and really loved and did every day for 6 months straight, only to give up on it one day because I've completely lost interest in it. For me, this includes things like wood carving, making archery equipment out of PVC pipe, printing custom t-shirts, making TikTok videos, drawing, origami, and these are just the ones that I could remember. Each time I swear that this is the thing that I will do forever, and every time I give up on that thing. This can be especially frustrating for our romantic partners. We tell them that we have this interest that we're dedicated to and pretty much do in all of our free time, only to eventually one day decide that we're never going to do it again, and then we repeat the cycle. Who knows, maybe some of these things could have turned into a career path or eventually a business, but I never stuck with that thing long enough to find out. The next thing on this list is brain fog. Brain fog can be described as a range of neurocognitive symptoms that include forgetfulness and problems focusing, concentration, and paying attention. For me, I'll experience all of that at the same time, while also not having any motivation to do anything at all. Now, I don't have severe brain fog every day, but when I do, it's pretty much a waste of an entire day. It doesn't matter if something is very important or very urgent, I'll have a tremendously difficult time doing that thing. Sometimes brain fog for me might mean I completely waste the day doing absolutely nothing but sitting on my couch and watching TV. To make things worse, this can happen on days where absolutely nothing has changed from the previous day. I could have slept very well the previous night, my diet could have been the same, and pretty much everything else stays the same, but I'll have brain fog that day and not the previous day. Brain fog can make it nearly impossible for me to complete any task that's not physical in nature. Next is being able to complete things. This can be things that I really enjoy, like a TV series, a video game, a movie, or even a long-term project. There's so many things that I could think of where I get 90% of it done, but I can't get through the last 10%. It doesn't matter how important these things are. Completing them can seem nearly impossible. The amount of incomplete video courses that I have from learning a new skill is unreal. Now, sure, this has to do with losing interest, but it could also be things that I never really had had interest in the first place. Also, the time commitment doesn't seem to matter. This could be something as short as a 3-minute YouTube video or a project that I've been working on for the last month. I'll get so close to finishing it only to get to the last part and just drop it completely. So that's it. Those are 6 things that I hate about having ADHD. If you would like to see more videos like this about ADHD, go ahead and subscribe.